Hello everyone, and welcome to the Church360 Ledger training session, Setting Up Your Account. My name is Kendall Woolery. I've been here at Concordia for almost 4 years. I am the lead software support technician. On this screen we have our support email address as well as our support number. Definitely if you have any issues, feel free to give us a call or email us, and we'll definitely help you out. So today we got about 25 minutes we'll spend going over the material. We'll have 5 minutes for questions at the end. And if you have questions throughout the presentation, definitely feel free to ask your questions. I will address them at the end of the presentation. And the recording will be shared once this is done, so know that that will be available. All right, so these are the things we're going to talk about today, the basic accounting principles that Church360 Ledger uses. We'll mention fund accounting and cash accounting. We'll talk about books, creating new books, being able to switch between books. We'll talk about your fiscal years, being able to change your fiscal year as well as lock and unlock your fiscal years. We'll talk about the account types you're going to be able to create, which include assets, liabilities, income, and expense accounts. We'll also take a look at the chart of accounts report. And we'll go over the process of adding users and choosing permissions on what those users are going to be able to do. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. So the first thing that we're going to talk about with Church360 is the accounting principles that it actually uses. 360 Ledger, Church360 Ledger uses a combination of fund accounting and cash accounting. Fund accounting is essentially making use of funds, in this case restricted accounts, which helps you monitor where money is going or what it's set aside to be used for. And Church360 Ledger also uses cash accounting, which is essentially saying that income is recorded as it's received and expenses are recorded as their expense. So there's it's kind of in as soon as money comes in, it's recorded. As soon as money goes out, it's recorded. So Church360 Ledger uses a combination of funds and the aspect of cash accounting as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about then today is books. So once you get into the site, you'll be able to create your books. Books are kind of be in the sense of a different entity. So you can see here in this example we have the preschool, which would be one entity, and then we have the church books, which would be another entity. So the key with books is if they're two different entities, you keep them separate. If you have your church account and you have 3 or 4 checking accounts that you use for the church, it'd be best to put them into one book versus separating those checking accounts out to their own individual books. Adding a new book is fairly simple. Under Settings, we'll click on Books, which opens up the Books window. We'll click on Add a New Book, type in the name of the book, and choose our starting fiscal year. In this case, this is the January one, and then when we're actually starting, I'll say Submit, and my new book is created. So once I've created my books, I want to be able to switch between the multiple books that I have. Up here in the top next to the home icon, the dollar symbol, you'll see your currently selected book. By clicking on the drop down, you're going to be able to choose which book you want to go to. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our building fund, and you'll see that it is now changed and we are over to the building fund and now using that account. I'm going to switch back. The next thing we're going to go over is your fiscal years. So under Settings, we're going to have our fiscal years option. When we get here, you're going to be able to see what your current fiscal year is. In this case, we can see it's a calendar year from January to December. If I wanted to change my fiscal year, I can click on this drop-down box and choose my new fiscal year. Please keep in mind, though, if this is our current fiscal year and we want to change it to August, this isn't going to change it as of August of, let's say, of 2016. It's actually going to be August of 2017. So if it's something where your fiscal year is ended and the month has already gone past, but you want to change it for the current year that you're in, give support a call, and we can have the developers update your fiscal years to use whatever one you'd like to use. Down here we have the ability to lock and unlock our fiscal years. So you can see here that this 2012 year is currently unlocked. So when I click on the green one, that does the action of locking or of unlocking my fiscal years. The red action means that the year is currently locked. So if I click on that, you can now see my 2012 year is locked. The green icon just means to unlock. So if I keep going through here, you can see then that I'm able to lock and unlock my fiscal years. The next thing we're going to talk about then is our account types. In this case, I want to switch back over to our building fund. I'm going to go back to settings, and then I'm going to click on chart of accounts. So in the chart of accounts, we have our 4 different types of accounts that we can create. These include assets, liabilities, income, and expense. Your assets are going to be your checking account, a savings account, any type of monetary account, money market or investment type accounts that you're going to attract. Next, we have liabilities, and those are going to be payroll taxes, a good example, state taxes, federal taxes. If you have any loans outstanding, you can create a liability account over loans. The next one we have is income. Income accounts are going to be, let's say, rental income, income that you get from Sunday offerings. If you rent a building, that income can be considered. Savings account, if you have interest on that, you can have savings income. And lastly, we have expenses, which are your normal day-to-day expenses. You have your utilities, gas, electric, water, so forth. Church supplies, staff salary might be in there as well too. Just anything that you're going to expense your money to. And while we're here, let's go ahead and create a couple accounts so we can have an idea of how that works. So under the chart of accounts, you have your assets. I'm going to go ahead and do a new category first. We're just going to call this. So I'm creating a category called just bank account. And you can tell it's a category by seeing this solid line on the left. That what helps to denote that it's an actual category. I'll go ahead and click on new account. Account numbers are completely optional. If you want to write checks from this account, you'll definitely want to check the box and then enter in what your initial balance is. And just so you know, if you don't know your balance right now, until you actually do your first reconciliation, you can update the beginning balance. So if you don't know the amount right now, you can always come back in and change it until that reconciliation. Once I've created this account, I want to drag it and place it underneath my bank account. So if I click on the account, you'll see the red arrow, and then as I drag the account to the right, it's going to indent it. And now you can see this checking account appears underneath my bank account. And then, of course, when I'm done with this, I can save the change. It's going to tell me what I'm about to do. I'll confirm that, and now that's been saved. So we'll do the same thing for liabilities. I'm going to create a category called payroll taxes. Save that, and then create a couple of federal taxes. And you do have the ability to give an initial balance in case you're starting mid-year and you need to roll over some balances. So you will have the option to do that. So I've got these 2 accounts, so I'm going to drag them over. So I've got those. And again, save changes. You don't have to save changes after each action you do. I just get in the habit of doing that so that my internet connection were to go out, at worst, I only lose the accounts that I created. I don't have to recreate everything. Let's see. Create another income category now. And again, income accounts allow you to create your own beginning balance as well if you're carrying forward from another year. Go ahead and save that change. So now I've got my income accounts. create one more category. Let's see. Give this one an initial balance of 0 as well. I'll submit that. Drag that one over. Save the changes. So now this completes the option, or completes going over the accounts and chart of accounts. You can see here that anytime we open up any of these options, it collapses what might have already been open. And you can use multiple categories. So I could do office expenses, do another category, and then put something else in. So you can use almost as many categories as you want. So you're not limited on how many you use. So that essentially is the types of accounts that you'll be able to set up. Feel free to create as many as you need. You know, if you decide that you don't need one, like if I decided I didn't need my state taxes, I could delete it if it hasn't been used. Income and expense accounts, you deactivate, so you could come back and reactivate should you need it. And always remember to do save changes before you continue on. The system is built up, though, that if you added something in, and let's see, if you added an account in and then you went somewhere else or clicked on something else, it's going to say, hey, you've done this. Do you want to save these changes or not? In this case, I'll confirm it. And now I've got my chart of accounts created, and it saved that account that I actually created. So you can see here we do have the building fund. The next thing we're going to talk about is the chart of accounts reports. And for this one, I'm actually going to flip back to a predefined book that I've already got in here. So this report is going to be available under our reports icon, and then we'll choose the chart of accounts report. The chart of accounts report is going to give us a listing of all of our accounts, assets, liabilities, income, and expense. And you're going to have the ability to collapse it all the way down because of the categories, to just see your totals. You're going to get the starting balance for the current year, which is based upon this date range over here. So if I want to look at 1 month, I can select 1 month, and that's going to be the starting balance of this particular month, the ending balance of this month. We're also going to be able to see our debits and credits for the month, the plus or minus change, and then a % of change. And again, you can do a quarter, you can do individual months, or you can put in a specific time frame here as well, so you can really limit the report to a specific date range you're looking for. And by clicking on these little triangles here on the left, I can expand the entire view so I can see every account. And what's nice too is if you had several different types of categories, you can collapse those views so you're just looking at, let's say, your first row of categories. And then you could print a report out using this option and do something that way versus having to print out an entire report. So you can kind of customize the report to give you the information that you're looking for, whether you want a high level, just the top line items, or you want to see it down to the individual account levels. So once we're here, we do have the option to export this report out to Excel if we'd like to. Clicking on that will bring up we'll download it. It takes just a second. Open this up in Excel so we can take a look at it. And we do have to enable editing for the numbers to show. And here you can see that we've got the report opened up. You've got your church name, the name of the report, your date range, and then you've got all your columns. So your beginning balance, your ending balance, the debits, the credits, the change. In this case, we were doing the full year, so as we scroll down, you're able to see our different options. And it looks like in this case, because I had it constricted down, all we're seeing is the categorical level versus all the individual accounts. And you can see here how we've kind of shrunk it down as we're seeing what we see. Again, if you wanted to print this report out, you can print it out, and again, move it to see the preview first, and it's going to follow what you have set up as well too. So since I have collapsed it, that's all I'm going to be able to print this time. So, but that is the chart of accounts report. The last thing we're going to be talking about today is users and permissions. That's going to be available under settings and then users. So on the screen, we're going to be able to see the current users that we have in the system, as well as the current permission level that these users have been assigned. And you can see here we've got these 5 users, and we've got a few administrators, a council member, so there's some flexibility in what you can do here. To add a new user, we'll click on Add a New One. You type in the person's email address, and then choose what permission role that user is going to be able to have. And also we're going to have the roles that we can set up for these users. The administrator one by default is locked. You're not going to be able to make any changes to that one. So if you click on it, you can see it's all grayed out, and it's going to tell you that no changes can be made to it. Creating a new one, we'll click on Add a New One down here, which will bring up the window so we can see the permissions that we can use. We can type in the name. Let's see. Once I've got my name typed in of the permission or of the role group, I can choose what role this applies to. So you can see here I've got 3 different books in the system. So this role I can choose it to apply to only the building fund if I want to. So that means anybody who has this role is only going to be able to access the building fund. So they wouldn't be able to access the preschool or the church community, the Christ Community Church one. Next, we have our list of permissions that people are going to be able to do. So can manage chart of accounts. It's going to give them the ability to create, or be able to create accounts, manage accounts, delete, deactivate accounts. Can view all accounts. It's going to give that user permission to see all accounts that you have for this particular book that we're looking at. Can view is an option where you can choose what permissions a person's going to have access to. And then we got can create. So then we have all of our transactions options, which are going to be able to enter in any type of transactions. And when you can do edit transactions, that's going to go ahead and check everything for can create deposits, journal entries, payments, transfers, and checks. And then you have the ability to can print checks. So then once I'm done, I do submit, and that creates my new role for me. And you can see here we have can see subset of accounts. So I'm going to go back to our users, and I've got a role down here that I'm going to get rid of him. I'm going to give him new role, submit that. Let's see, we'll go back to roles, and we click on this one. We can view our selected accounts now. So now I can say user's going to have access to the checking account, our church supplies, building fund, and envelopes. I'll save that one. And so now that's all this user would have access to whenever they signed in. It's just those 4 accounts. So that's been updated, and now when that user signs in, they're only going to be given those accounts that they can work with. So, well, that completes the training for today on setting up your 360 Ledger account. We talked about the principles that Church360 Ledger uses, fund accounting and cash accounting. We talked about creating books and switching between books. We also talked about fiscal years, how to lock, unlock, and change your fiscal year to a new year. We went over our 4 account types. We talked about assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. We went over the chart of accounts report and what that contains, or what options you're going to have with that report. And then we talked about users and permissions and what you're going to be able to do whenever you add users into the system, and how you can limit what things they're going to have access to. At this time, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them now. We do have a blog available that goes over any updates and that you can get signed up for, and that's found at 360ledger.com/blog. So definitely check that out if you're interested in learning or being emailed whenever updates come out. We do have a training manual available for $25 plus shipping, which can be ordered from 360ledger.com/training. Again, my name was Kendall Woolery. I am lead software support technician here at Concordia. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at our support email address or give us a call. And no other questions then. I do thank you guys for attending, and please enjoy the rest of your day.